The iconic Space Marines of the Emperor's Holy Adeptus Astartes have been the face of Warhammer 40k for over 30 years. But with Kill Team, chat groups and forums online are rife with accounts of how much better it is to take the more elite factions of Space Marines, such as the Deathwatch, with their ability to spam frag cannons overshadowing the more stripped-down Astartes. Many players have even flocked to the ranks of their dark cousins of the heretic Astartes, the Deathguard, or Thousand Sons, who can cheat death, assail you with psychic assault, and wield the blessings of the dark gods themselves. This has seen many players flock to their side in Kill Team. But recently, I put together a little team of the iconic Space Marines and asked the question, can these be competitive in Kill Team after all? And today, we will look at what I've found. And I hope the answer surprises you. Welcome to Beer Knit 40k, your home for Kill Team Tactica. Thank you for sharing my obsession with this game. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and now let's take a look at the Space Marines in Kill Team 40k. As more and more time passes and I play this game, it has become abundantly clear that Kill Team is a game of adaptability, flexibility, and changing your approach to best face the enemy threat. The more adaptable and customizable a faction is, the more competitive they become. You are hard-pressed to find a more flexible and adaptable faction than the Adeptus Astartes, who typically field 5 or 6-man kill teams on the board. With the standard kill team roster being 20 models in competition, this means a Space Marine roster can conceivably hold several kill teams, specifically tailored to face the various archetypes of the enemy factions we see on the board. These archetypes that I mentioned are very important to keep in mind when building your Space Marine lists, because if you can figure out a way to break the other factions down into groups with similar playstyles or similar strengths and weaknesses, you can start to build multiple lists designed to handle each specific archetype. And if you combine 3 or 4 of these together on the roster, suddenly you have a very potent force to draw from that is able to tackle the enemy in a specific way, rather than remaining generalists like the Space Marines have become renowned for being in 40k. With this in mind, one model in particular stands out to me as being particularly adaptable, and it has quickly come to be one of my favorites that I'm rushing to build more of so I can take them if I need them. These are the Scout Gunners with missile launchers and camo cloaks if you can afford them. Their ability to fire crack missiles at strength 8, AP-2 doing D6 damage is great for targeting opponents with high toughness, multiple wounds, and power armor, but that's not all. The frag missile template, putting D6 shots down, lets you choose a target and split attacks between them and other models within 2 inches of him, which forces low save models or those with an invuln to roll multiple saves in the hopes that they fail saves early. Due to the weapon's 36-inch range, the rocket launchers are able to reach out and hit the enemy with multiple shots from the first turn. And it is the Horde archetypes that will suffer the most from the frag missiles. The Horde is an enemy that fights at close range. They tend to only have 1 wound and 5-up or 6-up saves. Their survival strategy is to field lots of bodies against you, to lock you into combat, to control the objectives, and beat you to death with choppas, fists, claws, and talons. The Orcs and Tyranids fit this archetype, as do many Chaos Space Marine builds that rely on spamming Cultists and Poxwalkers. The Gene Stealer cults fit here too. They can bring several models that can kill you in one shot in close combat, yet they only have 1 wound, so they desperately need to close that distance and get to you. The ability of these Horde archetype factions in general to spam nearly the full 20-man limit of kill team games means you need to make each shot spread out, harrying as many of them as possible with each shot as they try to approach. Now, I personally do not recommend that you spend points unnecessarily to try to fight fire with fire when facing Hordes as Astartes. Yes, you can make decent melee kill teams, but 20 of them against 5 to 6 of you means you are exactly where they want you to be if you allow yourself to meet them in melee combat, even if you're swinging power swords and chopping heads off while you do it. Instead, you should try to fight them at range as long as possible, splitting frags against them as they approach and whittling them down. And when the Horde gets close, you give them a taste of another weapon that does massive amounts of hits, the Flamer. The Flamer automatically hits. No need to roll. You just see how many shots you get by rolling a d6, and if targets are in range, they're automatically hit. All you have to do is allocate those wound rolls to as many models as possible and hope you roll well to wound. Because remember, you can split the multiple shots to any model within 2 inches of a single original target. So pick someone central in the Horde and watch even average rolls cause 3.5 automatic hits and just under 2 wounds statistically, which only have a 16% chance to be saved in the case of Orcs, Hormagaunts, and Chaos Cultists. But what do you do against kill teams with elite models? This is where the missile launcher shines in its versatility, because instead of shooting frag missiles, you simply let them eat crack missiles for breakfast. You can take 2 plasma guns in a list too, 1 combi plasma on a tactical sergeant, 1 plasma gun on a tactical marine gunner. And if you have the comm specialist, put the scanner on any one of these and you're now firing rockets or plasma at ballistic skill 2, and the Auspex lets you ignore penalties from cover. Interestingly, although the new Kill Team FAQ doesn't let a model buff himself with a scanner ability anymore, the Astartes can now take 2 Auspex in a single list, one on an intercessor or an intercessor gunner or sergeant, and another on a tactical sergeant. This and the ability of the comm specialist to give buffs to others really lets you spread the ability for shooting buffs around within the small squad of Marines, making great builds possible, like a sniper specialist TAC Marine gunner. Give him a plasma and watch his supercharged plasma shots hit on 2s, reroll 1s to hit, and ignore cover when the scanner ability is put onto him. Now, some people might think taking 2 Auspex is overkill, so if that's the case for you, hey, maybe you're right. If you're only taking 1 Auspex, it is better to make a TAC Sergeant with the Combi Plasma the sniper spec, rather than the pleb normal TAC Marine Gunner. You get a second weapons profile by giving him the Combi, 1 more attack in close combat if he finds himself there, and he has better leadership. So yes, he is at -1 if he shoots both profiles of the combi weapon, but if you have a comm specialist in range, the scanner ability will have the combi plasma back to hitting on 3s with no problems. All of these ideas make Marines a great faction for fighting at range, but their low model count of the Astartes kill teams means a lot of these same tricks can be used against you. Imperial Guard, for example, can put down 8 plasma weapons with no problems and ruin an Astartes player's day. The AdMech can field 6 plasma calibers, putting out 2 shots each and rerolling 1s with the Canicles buffs. So remember, you have the decisive shot tactic available for 2 CP. This lets you shoot first even if the opponent has initiative, and it can really save your life if you take out the right opponent before he gets a chance to shoot. Even in cases where you have the initiative, or the opponent doesn't have any readied models to shoot first but you do, using Decisive Shot will still let you have an unreadied model shoot before anyone else does. And that means you have 2, 3, or even more models blasting the enemy with supercharged plasmas and rocket launchers before they get a chance to shoot back. This can make or break a game. Now, as you see, I kind of think that Guilliman must have made shooting a priority in the Codex Astartes, but is there a case where you should bring an assault-based list? Well, yes, I really think so. I think there is one faction where you want to go almost completely assault. I'll tell you what that is in just a moment, but first, hit that like button, subscribe, hit that icon for the bell thingy, and with that out of the way, let's talk assault. The one faction I especially think you want to charge into and show the Emperor's wrath is the Astra Militarum. The Imperial Guard can absolutely wreck your day with plasma. The Imperial Guard is often viewed as one of the nastiest factions to face in competition because they're extremely versatile and deadly. Yet my Tyranids have never had a problem dealing with the Guard in Kill Team. Well, why is this? It's because Guard do shooting very well, they do melee combat very badly. Once you get into their lines, they crumble, and their natural build is one with low leadership all around that hinges on a leader to buff them with command points and orders shenanigans. If you can get in and start racking up the body count, things go bad very fast for the Guard. Their widespread LD6 on all but a very few models means that flesh wounds and out-of-action results quickly add up. Then there's a reason the casinos in Las Vegas bet you'll get a 7 and pay you on many other numbers and craps, but you lose on the 7. There are 6 ways to roll a 7, 5 combinations to roll a 6, 4 combinations to roll a 5, on and on it goes. So at leadership 6, the odds favor you failing leadership if you take a shaken or nerve test. And even the models at LD7 will be at -1 if they're within 3 inches of a Reaver or a Reaver Sergeant. So I recommend a Reaver Sergeant as a veteran specialist against the Guard. Upgrade him with the grapnel launcher and combat knife for better movement through cover so he gets to the enemy faster. You can get some great movement by stacking take forward positions in the scouting phase with the veteran move, giving you an advanced move for only 1 CP. All of this together makes a turn 1 charge possible. But Reavers aren't the only thing that you could take here. Many people talk badly about chainswords in Kill Team, but they are a cheap thing. Yes, against Deathguard, I would rather have a power sword, but against Guard, you want volume of attacks. You want to run into base-to-base contact with multiple models and dump a lot of dice onto them. AP is not important against 5-up saves, not as important as an extra attack, hitting on a 3, wounding on a 3, with only a 33% chance of saving. Scions do have a better save, so use your judgment there, but there's still only 1 wound, so dumping points into weapons to specifically target them might not be efficient if it costs you the ability to spread things out over an entire Guard list. Because if you can spam flesh wounds and out of action and you have Reavers around sprinkled on the board here and there giving -1 to leadership, the guard will break. And remember, you can give Attack Sarge with a chainsword even more buffs by making him a medic specialist against the guard. Have him give the stim shot to himself or another model for just 1 CP, and that gives +1 strength, +1 attack, and buffs to movement. So, that's my thoughts on Tactica for the Adeptus Astartes. Just a quick overview at this point. The most important thing I would hope that you take from this is the change from a take-all-comers list that we used to make in 40K, and instead move to making a few take-most-comers lists that specifically do well against a few different factions each, what I call archetypes, the Horde, the MEQ, the Marine equivalent. Put these together, and combined, you have a kill team roster that will serve you well with good play on your part. So, did you find this helpful? Do you have similar thoughts? Or is there something I left out or you think I should know? Tell me about it in the comments below. As always, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. This is BeerNed40K, and I'll talk with you again very soon.